The listeners are wondering, among many things, who emerges at tight end in the spring. We address that and more in your mailbag on Friday.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, and thank you for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. And if you need one now, grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized with 5-Hour Energy.
Okay, good morning. It is Friday. We are coming to the end of March. Mitch Sherman from The Athletic, along with Connor Happer of 1620 The Zone. Warm. It's like summer out there this morning in eastern Nebraska. We had a blizzard last week. This is a Friday mailbag episode of the Locked On Nebraska podcast. On Thursday, we got some entertainment in Lincoln from Dana Holgorsen. Really enjoy talking to Dana Holgorsen, Connor. We could have done a whole episode today about Dana and just all of the things that he had to say on Thursday. And we'll probably revisit that some when we get into next week, the second week of spring practice for Nebraska football. How are you today?
I'm good. He definitely is always I never really know where he's going or what he's going to say, which is kind of fun. And you know, he talks to you like a human being, like he's not answering the questions. He just says what's on his mind. Which is fantastic.
I like that he like seems to entertain himself sometimes too with his answers. He'll answer something that's legitimately funny and then he'll laugh at it.
Yeah.
Which it's just refreshing there's a lot about Dana Holgorsen that I find refreshing.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of mileage out of Dana Holgorsen however long he's here. I'm excited for that.
You know, my colleague at The Athletic, David Ubben, wrote an article when Mike Eckler was at Tennessee about how he's the most interesting coach in the in college football, and just went into all of the Mike Eckler things, like running on the interstate and whatever. Dana Holgorsen is like not far behind in that in that category. So Nebraska has two of the most interesting coaches in college football as the coordinators of its special teams and offense. So you're right. We're gonna get mileage out of that. Let's dive in to the mailbag. Start today with a question from Nathan. As you mentioned in the open to the show, this is about the tight ends. Nathan asks, if you had a prediction on it today, who do you think would emerge out of the group of tight ends to start or be the leading receiver of that group between Luke Lindenmeyer, Carter Nelson, Heinrich Haarberg, and Mac Markway? Or do you think Nebraska will dip into the portal to get a more established receiving threat at tight end after spring practice?
I don't think they're going to dip into the portal. No, doesn't seem like it's high on the list.
Injuries would require.
Yeah. They. I mean, honestly, they need to cut numbers off their roster, so I don't think they need an extra tight end at this point. The favorite, I think, the heavy favorite in the room would be Lindenmeyer. At this point, Carter Nelson, we'll see what happens when he gets back and where he is. I don't even know. One of the things that Holgorsen said on Thursday was that Nelson will eventually grow into a tight end. I don't even know that you would call him that as of right now. We'll see what the health looks like. Haarberg, it's coming along, and we know nothing about Markway. So Lindenmeyer is the only really known commodity, and not that there's a whole lot to go off of there. But I do think he has some leadership qualities. He's been playing for a couple years doing various different things in Nebraska's offense. So I think he'd be the favorite of that. And I think they feel comfortable with that. I don't know that I look at that and say, whoa, that's a bad deal for them. They need some help.
It's interesting because of the four, and I agree with you. Because of out of the four of those, Lindenmeyer is the most limited athletically. Yeah. The other three, I think, all bring things to the table with the ability to stretch the field that Lindenmeyer doesn't have. Now, he's a traditional in-your-face tight end. He's going to knock you off the ball. They love what he can do in the run game. Probably the tight end out of this group. Not probably. He is the tight end out of this group who's equipped to play in the most offensive sets that Nebraska has. They can bring him in a jumbo package, and he can be somebody who's out there with 3 wide receivers. Nelson, I think, is going to play as much inside receiver in 2025 as he plays tight end, if he even plays traditional tight end. Holgorsen told a story about the bowl game practices when they wanted to start using Carter as a tight end just to get him ready for his future. And right away he got a stinger. So, it just shows that, and anybody, a 290-pound guy can get a stinger. You just get hit the right way in the shoulder or land a certain way. But it's an indication that like he's got more to do as far as building up the strength and the muscle to be able to deliver those hits instead of absorb the hits that occur in the way that it occurred in his first year of college football. So, and then Carter's coming off of major hip surgery. So by the time he gets back to doing everything he needs to do in the summer, he'll have missed some practice time and some time in the weight room to build up. This was an important offseason. It still is an important offseason for him to just get bigger. And he's missed out on some of that, unfortunately, because of the injury. So I think it's Lindenmeyer. If you're asking who's going to be the best receiver out of that group, it might be Nelson in 25, just not always at tight end. And then Harburg is like the most intriguing because I think he can give you a combination of both of those things with great athleticism. So maybe he's a wild card in all of this.
Yeah, Markway is too, probably with the, coming off of the injury as well. By the way, there was a PS on that message from Nathan. Did not realize Connor was a certified Matt O'Hanlon hater. LOL. Love the show and appreciate you guys, the work you guys do for the show every weekday morning.
What's that? I don't know what that's about.
Well, that was somebody asked the question last week about the walk-ons. Who's your favorite walk-on? And somebody mentioned Matt O'Hanlon or something like that. It was like, I know Matt O'Hanlon had that Oklahoma game, but I still remember the Virginia Tech game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. We talked about Tyrod Taylor in the game in Blacksburg. That was because of my story on the 05 recruiting class, and I threw in Matt O'Hanlon. I interviewed Matt O'Hanlon for that piece, just about his the fact that he came from nowhere to be a star. He was really good by the end of his career. Everybody has a bad play.
That's right.
And defensive backs get they get remembered for that kind of stuff.
Aaron in Gretna, why does Dana Holgorsen, as he revealed yesterday, walk to the stadium every day, even if it's negative 15 degrees, according to Coach Holgorsen?
Yeah, he doesn't have a car in Lincoln, so he's just
that's pretty simple.
He could Uber. Dylan Raiola offered to pick him up on the way. He said he drives right by. I don't know if Dana's living out of a hotel or if he probably not. He's probably renting a place or bought a place downtown. There's lots of new downtown residential options that would exist for someone in Dana Holgorsen's position. I don't know exactly what that position is, but the part that matters to Nebraska is he's a good football coach. Yeah, he just walks. He said it's 12 minutes. Walks to the stadium. Very nice today, man. I bet he's happy today. I mean, he's like, this is like Houston, but we don't have the humidity. Got a little nice breeze. It's 70 degrees outside at 7 and 8 in the morning. He probably comes in at 5:30. So it's 60 degrees out. But in January, that can get kind of rough. Dana said he questioned his sanity a couple of times, but he's very focused on one area of Lincoln. I think no matter how long he coaches here, you might be able to ask him at the end of it if he's ever enjoyed like East Lincoln or South Lincoln, some of the nicer. You ever been to Shields? You ever been to? No, I don't know what that is. I don't think he's ever going to go there.
No, it's pretty simple. He lives downtown. Many coaches have over the years, by the way. Lives downtown, and you just walk over to the stadium, regardless of if it's negative 15 degrees or some mornings that wake up in the summer, and it'll be a warm and humid 92 already in the morning.
Yeah, it'll really feel like Houston then.
Yeah, exactly. Shane, who impressed the most at Nebraska's Pro Day, and where was Tommy Hill?
That's That's a good question, and I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't really know. Like, I didn't hear glowing reports. I heard some like anecdotal stuff that Jamal Banks looked good. The players who went to the combine mainly, and not mainly, that would be Isaiah Nair, Thomas Fidone, and Ty Robinson. Like they were all just very limited in what they did. I didn't even see Isaiah Nair. I assume he was there. I saw Fidone and Ty Robinson doing some position work. So they impressed in Indy. Nash Hutmaker looked good. I thought I heard some good stuff about MJ Sherman. So I don't know that there was anybody in the group other than maybe Nash who, and I think Nash was an omission from the combine. Like, it's a deep defensive line group in this draft. That's not going to be great for his ability to get drafted. I kind of think like he's the one, other than the three who performed at the combine, who has a chance to earn his way into day 3 of the draft. Whether he gets there or not, I think he's going to have a chance to make an NFL roster. And then Tommy Hill just is not ready, health-wise, or maybe it's something else that he's dealing with, but he was nowhere to be seen on Tuesday.
Yeah. I liked how Austin Jablonski got a chance to I saw some Concordia. That one. Yeah, out of Concordia. Now he was briefly at Nebraska, correct?
Yeah, right. I know the name. He's a Lincoln guy, and
Pius. He played quarterback. He was an interesting player there. I remember doing some of his games in high school, and I think he ended up being a tight end. He had a really great shot at the state tournament to win a game. Oh, I guess it's probably 5, 6, 7 years ago now at this point. And guys like that from around the area who just kind of need a shot to work out in front of NFL people. Guys from last year's senior class. I thought, getting some of those guys worked into the equation as well. And then Raiola's throwing to them all. It's pretty cool. It seemed like a good setup for them.
Yep. All right. Yesterday was opening day in Major League Baseball, and sadly our Royals lost in extra innings. When we come back, a question about baseball with a connection to the Royals and to Nebraska. That's coming up next. But first, a moment to tell you about Nissan. Here at the Locked On Nebraska podcast, we are all about the stats because numbers do not lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. It has the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds. You can literally carry the whole team plus the gear wherever you want to go. The Nissan Armada PRO-4X has room for up to 8 people. It's built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. So whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada PRO-4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you want to go. Track your adventures, take your adventures, and track them to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mitch Sherman with you here on a Friday mailbag. Let's roll through a few questions here in segment number 2 from, let's go to Scott, who asked the question very simply: Darin Erstad or Alex Gordon, both World Series champions, both multi-year All-Stars, both Gold Glove recipients, both a career WAR of greater than 32. Also, one was all Big 8 in football. Who you got? Now, I guess I would ask a follow-up question like who you got like for their career, for their baseball career, for their major league career as a Husker. But I don't know. However you interpret it.
I'm not sure what we're looking at as criteria here. Alex Gordon was a multi-sport athlete too. Did not get all Big 8 in football. He actually didn't. He was a punter, just like Erstad, but did not take that into the college game. So Erstad probably wins the award for most well-rounded athlete in this group. He also played hockey growing up in North Dakota. I'm taking Alex Gordon for just like the baseball part of it, and like I don't care if I'm biased on this because he wore the blue in his career. Yep. Erstad and he played for the Angels. He played for the White Sox. These are not organizations that I have a lot of admiration for. So I'm not great player, super hard nosed. Like both of these guys, the thing that you get with them is just like the intangibles. I mean, Gordon was known for his incredible work ethic and like never eating a hamburger or a French fry in all of his pro career. I mean, he teammates were in awe of his discipline. He of course turned himself into a Gold Glove left fielder, and a lot of the same kind of stuff with Erstad, just like so hard nosed, like almost to just like an abnormal level. And then he went into coaching too. So as far as like the all around, like what he did with his career in different areas, like Erstad, he was the number 1 overall pick. Gordon was the number 2 overall pick. They were both like players of the year at Nebraska. So 2 incredible representatives of Nebraska. But I'm taking Alex because he was a Royal.
That was my first thought too. I'm looking at, so Erstad went to the playoffs 3 times as a member of the Angels, won World Series in 2002. Obviously, Gordon went there twice, got to the World Series once, and went and won the World Series and had a clutch hit in it in 2015. I mean, it's really kind of remarkable how similar their paths were and their trajectories and the kind of players they ended up being. Now, did Gordon make it on the Hall of Fame ballot? Because this would have been around his year, given he's been retired.
Does he have maybe another year? It could have been this year. He's in the Royals Hall of Fame now. New inductee into the Royals Hall of Fame. Has Erstad been on the ballot?
He was on the ballot and didn't make it after 1 year. Didn't hit the threshold of 2% or whatever.
Yeah. Neither of these guys are probably headed to Cooperstown, but
so he would be potentially on the 27 Hall of Fame ballot. He's not going to get in, but I'm curious to see how long he would stay on.
Right.
Probably about the same as Ersty.
Yeah. Would like to, I don't know when they're doing the Gordon night with the induction into the Royals Hall of Fame. Does that coincide in August with the Nebraska night on the day after the Nebraska football opener at Arrowhead? No. They're doing some kind of Nebraska stuff then.
Yeah, that's in August. They're going to do the Gordon stuff in May because this is going to be part of their, 15 and 85, reunions basically, championship teams. So yeah, that's when they're going to do that.
It'd be a good time to get down there. Yep. All right, let's go to Kevin in Lincoln. Any different thoughts, new thoughts on the transfers after seeing them at practice on Thursday?
Oh, that's more of a question for you. I didn't get to see him with my own eyes. All I saw was some videos and pictures, but so I guess I'll just leave that one over to you, Mitch.
So I had this conversation, was standing in the west stands under the press box. Nebraska practiced at Memorial Stadium on Thursday. We got to watch about 25 minutes of it. I had this conversation with another writer. It was Steve Sipple. We can mention who it was. And we were talking, and he didn't have he forgot to grab a roster, which is a cardinal sin when you go out to these events. So we were together, and I was helping him identify players, and we were having a conversation, and the offensive lineman walked out. At first it was just the defense that was on the field. The offensive players were over on another field, and they came into the stadium, and the offensive lineman started working. And I said, "Who's 57?" And then we both realized quickly that that's Elijah Pritchett.
Yeah.
Stands out. He stands out. He's a different looking dude.
As does I thought Nwaneri did as well from the pictures I saw.
Yeah, so Nwaneri, he was at first. He was on the defensive line was on the opposite side of the field. They were over on near the east sideline, and I was looking, and I'm like, I feel like I should notice Williams Nwaneri because he's 6'7", 255, 260 pounds. Like, why is this guy not jumping off the field to me? Is he not there? And so I had to look up his number, and I found it, and I'm like, oh, well, he's not quite as huge as I thought. And then I realized that he was working in a one-on-one drill with 53, David Hofkin, the big German, who is a physical freak. And so he made Nwaneri look kind of normal. And then Nwaneri got into a more of a pass rush drill with some other D linemen, and yeah, he stands out. Like 96 and 97 were coming off the edge in some of the work that Nebraska did. So that's Nwaneri and Keona Davis. And Terry Braden is a lucky, happy man when he's got those two to work with in that situation. This is just going to be a conversation probably that we're having until the two of them are on the field together, causing havoc, coming at quarterbacks from both sides. Like, it's just gonna be when are they going to get there? When's Nebraska going to be able to do that? And maybe it'll be at Arrowhead Stadium. Maybe it won't happen in 2025.
One more question before we take a break here from Andy. Last week during your offensive line review, you said that Justin Evans is viewed as a guard or center, but Sam Sledge is seen as only a center. I have some idea of what differentiates a tackle from an interior lineman, but what separates guards from centers? Thanks. Sandy.
Yeah, I have a thought. You can answer this first, and then I can chime in on. I don't know that it's as simple as that. But what do you think? Why do you if that is in fact the case, why do you see Sledge as a center and Evans as a guy who can play both spots?
From a physical standpoint, I don't know. I'm not sure where I would go there. I think mostly intangible. When I think the difference between center and guard, ability to sort of lead and bark out signals and get people organized and put them in the right place and make calls at the line of scrimmage. So I think it's mostly that for me. Football people might tell you that there's something physical that makes a center, better or, differentiates between a center and a guard, but I go more intangible.
I think it just speaks more to Evans' versatility and his experience in the program. When he was younger in the program, you might have said, oh, he's just a guard. But then as he's gotten experience and shown that he can do a lot of things, they look at him now as somebody who can play multiple spots. And I think they would consider using Rocco Spindler in that kind of role too, if it came down to it. They'd like him to just focus specifically on guard. But if they have a need at center, he's somebody that they would feel confident in him because of his experience and his acumen at playing both spots. But Sledge, he's still just going into his third year. He's only been in the program for 2 seasons, and maybe he'll grow into a role where they could see him as an interior player with the opportunity to go play guard. But right now he's just focusing on center because that's enough.
Couple more questions and thoughts from you guys on the other side, including why are we doubting Emmett Johnson? Coming up after this. But first, a word from our friends at 5 Hour Energy, where daylight savings has most certainly snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep and having a difficult time recovering, 5 Hour Energy has your back. That extra boost, that extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late, watching the tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you may need it. There have been some late nights watching tournament games. The games didn't end until about midnight last night. 5 Hour Energy is the place to go, and helps you get going the next day. With longer days, getting outside for a run, Tropical Burst, you got to go to the Tropical Burst, ladies and gentlemen. It is fantastic. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack delivered right to your door. If you need one now, you could also do that and grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, welcome back. Final episode of the week, final segment of the final episode of the week here at Locked On Nebraska. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer with you. We get back to the mailbag, and go to Vincent Napa. He says, "Hey fellas, I continue to enjoy the show. It gets me through my 35-minute commute to and from work." Awesome. First of all, congratulations to the Husker wrestling team on their success. Their achievements got me thinking about another concept that I have long advocated. Count me among those who support the idea of high school football players wrestling or running track if a youngster is not passionate about other sports like baseball or basketball. To your knowledge, is this a common belief in the Nebraska high school football coaching circles?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, there's a balance there. I think generally coaches want their players to be more involved and athletic and versatile and stay in shape. Like, I think that's absolutely a common refrain that you hear from high school coaches. And now you even hear from college coaches, and there's some athletes who are able to balance that entire thing. In college, it's a whole different beast. It's a completely different deal because of the commitment that you have to have to the sport to be that good at it on two sports at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I just think like there's long been this conversation about specialization and how early and all of those things. And I think it's been proven out over and over again that if you can and want to and are interested in continuing to play as many sports as you can for as long as you can, there are benefits to that when you reach, the varsity high school level or the college level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that one size fits all for every high school coach in the state.
Yeah.
There are some that are going to be more open to multi-sport athletes, and then some who just aren't. Despite like what the public might want. You see a guy like Tyson Terry at Omaha North, who absolutely has benefited from wrestling in his football career, and is going to take those experiences and all that he's gained from both sports into a Nebraska football career. And then the other thing I'd say, while Matt Rhule doesn't dictate everything that as it trickles down to the high school level, certainly he has influence, and like his continued ability or his continued drive to support other sports at Nebraska. Like every time he opens a press conference, it seems he's congratulating another coach at Nebraska. And this time on Tuesday, when we heard from him, he spent a while talking about Mark Manning and Ridge Lovett and Antrell Taylor and Brock Hardy and the Nebraska wrestlers who brought home big time hardware from Philadelphia last week. So it's prevalent in Nebraska, like the nature to want to support multi-sport athletes, and that'll just continue to grow stronger with Matt Rhule.
Let's skip ahead to this question from Trash Deku on,
right.
I assume this is from YouTube. The amount of doubt y'all have for Emmett is insane. He's going to run for over 1,000 yards next season. No question. Dana sees something in the man. Got to trust your coaches.
Yeah, so this kind of plays in with the next question too from Steven on YouTube. You want to read that one, and,
Sure.
And then we can kind of answer both of these together.
Yeah, Steven says, Mitch, you're one of my favorite sports writers. Much respect, but your live personality is not my favorite. Good thing this is recorded. EJ Barthel has shown his abilities. Every running back can go down at any time. Ives is a junior. He has stuck around for a season. They paid Dowdell a lot of money and had to use him. Either you trust Rhule or you don't. Come on, Nelson, the freshman, and Bonner if needed. Trust the process. If you're scared, you're scared. Even the coaches run the stadium. Guess that's why writers are writers, too scared to compete. Make it a pro-am flag football, alumni versus writers flag football. There's a lot going on there.
Okay, yeah. So there's a couple topics there.
Yep.
First of all, I'm going to win you over, Steven.
Calling you out for being scared of the media game.
We can run stairs. I'll do that. I'll run stairs against the coaches. Now, some of them I'm not going to beat because they're like 20 years younger than me. Like I'm not beating Rob Dvorak up the stairs, but we can run stairs. My issue in talking about this yesterday, and we have some more questions and comments about this, some of which I didn't even include in this because it got to be overkill. The YouTube was full of people, one, giving me recommendations for grills because we talked about that Thursday on the show about how springtime needed a new grill. So thank you all for coming in with that stuff. I'm going to go check some of that stuff out today. And then two, for just ripping me apart for my take that I don't want to participate in the Husker games because I haven't played any form of football in 20 years and I don't want to play football. out on the field. I don't want it, but if it's we could run stairs. We could do plenty of like physical things. I'd be okay with it. I just don't want to get taken off because I tore my hamstring or whatever. Like I went through this yesterday. Flag football, not for me. Other stuff, competitions, all right, fine, whatever. I'll catch a punt. Like Matt, I've been peer pressured into this. Like I
think you're stuck at this point. You have to do it.
Honestly, I might not, because those it's harder than it looks. I know that's what people say. But I'd try to go out there and do that.
Okay, good. Then the running back question.
Yeah, you want to get into the running back stuff here, and I don't know that we doubted Emmett. Like that's not the point here.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's just that so far in his career, like he's been really good in a role, right? Like and being good in a role is different from being like the dude in the center of the focal point of the offense. So not saying he can't do that. I'm saying Nebraska doesn't, like, they are putting him in a position where he has to be that person now. And that's a step up. That's like, so he has to do that. So it's happened before. Guys go from role players. I don't know if Emmett was a role player. He was their starting running back, but like you go from being a role guy doing a job to like everyone knows that you're the central focus of what they're going to be doing offensively, and the game just changes a little bit, and the volume gets higher and all of those things. So not that Emmett Johnson can't do it. He's absolutely capable of it, but Nebraska just doesn't have a safety net if he's not able to take on that part of it. And so I think that's the thing that we're really honing in on.
Yeah, he hasn't shown himself to be a workhorse. Like he's done it in short bursts in 2 seasons, and he's had complimentary backs, or he's been a complimentary back in the big picture of things. Now, Holgorsen loves the guy, and Holgorsen factored. We heard this from Emmett and from Dana. Emmett on Tuesday, Dana on Thursday, about just the bond that the two of them have formed. And Dana Holgorsen is a big part of the reason that Emmett Johnson remains at Nebraska. Emmett has a lot of love for Nebraska, and he was vocal about that and explaining why he was not going to transfer. Remember, he said that he was going into the portal in December, and then before the portal opened, he changed his mind. And a lot of that was because of Dana Holgorsen, because Dana Holgorsen shared with Emmett Johnson. Well, it's because Emmett decided that he had more to do at Nebraska and that he loves the state and the school, but it was also because Dana Holgorsen shared with Emmett Johnson his vision for what Emmett Johnson can be in the Nebraska offense. And Dana, talking about Emmett on Thursday, said he's a different guy. Like he's taken it to a new level, and Emmett's looks good. He's added muscle. Like he's bonded with, got this chemistry with Dylan Raiola. Like everything points up for Emmett Johnson. But can you survive a 13, 14 game season in the Big Ten? Let's say 13 right now. Can you survive a 13 game season in the Big Ten with one proven running back? That's all we're asking.
Right. Do we get to one more here about coaches apparel or?
No. Yeah. I want to say we have a question from P Champion on YouTube, and he said that Rhule called out Steve Sipple to field a punt at the end of spring practice. Which one of you guys would represent Locked On in this competition? You can field the punt if you want. I just want to get back to this just a little bit more. Like if we had a competition, if they had a competition at like if Nebraska baseball did this and they're like, hey, we're having the fall scrimmage and we're going to call out the media to come out and take batting practice, or to come out in the mode of fielding punts, have a fly ball competition. Mm-hmm. If you moved that over to Memorial Stadium, I would take down half the football team in catching fly balls. I have confidence there. So it's not that I'm scared of the competition here. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to play football.
Okay. I will.
You can field the punt.
I will field the punt. Not that I'm an expert at fielding punts. I was an expert at not being on a football roster my senior year of high school and not playing at all. Playing a little bit on senior night. I almost got a sack once. And so that's my experience playing football. I played a little bit in 7th and 8th grade. But yes, if they move it over to baseball, I definitely feel a lot better about that. like that.
We can touch quickly on the question from Michael in Michigan. And he's asking us, he says, love the show. Have an off-season question about college football apparel. Across sports, there's a range of outfits that coaches wear. MLB managers wear the team uniform. Jack Del Rio wore a suit for some games as the Jags coach. Al Golden and some others have worn a dress shirt and tie to the CFB sidelines. Basketball coaches are a mix. What's your take? Would you rather see Matt Rhule in a suit or a jersey and football pants?
Great question. I would rather see him in a suit. But if those are my only two options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's worn a suit. I've seen him in a suit.
Yep.
Probably don't need to see him in a jersey and football pants.
No, I don't know that he would love that at this point. Former football player. I'm sure he would feel great strapping it up again, but
he could feel the punt. I bet he could feel the punt.
And you put him back there, he'll feel the punt. All right. Thanks for your questions this week. We greatly appreciate them, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Basketball. You can find that podcast on YouTube or wherever you may get your podcasts.